Hey everyone, I hope you are all doing well. It has been a few months since my last video. I've been busy editing a feature film, which I shot in 2 days. That's what this video is all about, how and why I made a feature film in 2 days and what I learned and maybe what you can learn as well from it and we can all learn moving forward in the future. Obviously, it's not ideal to only give yourself 2 days to make a feature film. Why would someone do this? The main reason is budgetary restrictions, but also if you're telling a story, the format of which permits shooting in a very short amount of time, which mine fell into and I'll get into in a second, and maybe you can make your film in a short amount of time. And if anything, the biggest thing I learned or gained from this experience is encouragement to make low budget projects moving forward, not waiting years for someone to give you $1 million to do it. Even if it's not perfect, just go out and do it. But let's get into some insights, some things I learned, some advice. The first thing I would say that I brought onto the set intentionally and purposefully was to always know your fallback plan in your worst nightmare scenario. Now, I know that in the arts, we're encouraged to not have a plan B, right? You have to go full force for the thing you want. But in certain conditions, having a bare minimum that you're going to be happy with in really stressful circumstances is what's going to keep your sanity, give you a level head on set when things are going wrong, and things always do go wrong when things are not going exactly to plan. It's what is going to make you calm amid the storm. It's what's going to make everyone in the cast and crew look at you and be like, I trust that person. He or she has a plan. But easier said than done, right? How do I do this? Well, let me tell you a little bit about my production and how by setting certain expectations with my story and my production allowed me to always stay calm on set and always have a backup plan. This feature film, and you can call it whatever you want. You could view it as a 47-minute comedy sketch. You could view it as a TV pilot spoof. It's over 40 minutes, so it's technically a feature film. Either way, it's a 47-minute production, about a dozen actors, a bunch of locations, very little dead weight on the runtime, in my opinion. And it is a giant spoof, a parody on the reality dating TV show Love Island. People come on and they date each other and it's meant to be trashy, but like it's also deep. But the thing is, why people are so drawn into the UK version of the show, or at least one of the reasons, is the accents, their banter, as they call it, the banter.
Do I think it's going to go really far in the future? I'm not sure. Like, obviously, there has been a few things that has thrown her off, and she's a very fiery character.
It's very tempting after watching the show to always impersonate them. So that was my original goal. I was watching the show and I'm like, I want to make a little video of me dressing up as different people from England, impersonating them and coming up with different characters. But then my thinking was, you know what? So many people have impersonated British people in the past. How could I do something a bit more original? Well, at the same time, it was my first year living in Seattle, which is a very quirky city. There's a lot to parody about it. There's a lot to analyze culturally about it. And then certain scenes and ideas started formulating similar to the show Portlandia, what they did with Portland, but kind of a Seattle version. So I wanted to do Love Island Seattle, and that is what the film is, Love Island Seattle. You could look it up now, check it out, see it for yourself. I'm sure it will be more resourceful in this discussion. In Love Island, they have these different character intros. One of the most fun things of the show is when someone new comes on the show, they do these cocky, cheesy intros like...
Little pocket rocket is what I usually go for.
I am most definitely main character vibes. My melodramatic side may come out when I'm challenged or apparently in the wrong. I think I'm always right. I am a bit demanding, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm absolutely buzzing to get in that villa.
And so I really wanted to do those really like in the format of Key and Peele, when Key and Peele does the football NFL skit, if you know what I'm talking about. I'll put a clip on the screen if I can. So that was my goal. And then this giant web started forming. The characters in my mind started becoming so defined, and I started creating all these scenes, making a giant script out of it. So this is how my backup plan for my nightmare scenario formed. This is how I stayed calm on set. We shot all of the intro scenes that were just part of my original plan in a very controlled setting. We used a green screen in one room. We set up the lighting, had one person after another come in, not too much could change. I basically knew I had that set up in the bag. And that was the first 15 minutes of the film, 15 pages of the script, whereas the rest of the stuff was more up in the air. All these scenes, we didn't really have a plan for how we were gonna shoot them. We were just kind of gonna go in the middle of this villa that I had rented out and be like, okay, one scene there, one scene there, one scene there. Whereas in the green screen room when we were filming the character intros and I was just comfortably chilling behind the monitor, listening and watching everything I knew was gonna come out great. A lot of these outdoor scenes, which was the next 30 minutes of the film, I had no idea how it was going. And in fact, I was acting in a lot of them. It was bright out. You couldn't always see the monitor, even with monitor shades. Things were moving very fast. We were busy setting up. We were busy just doing everything we could logistically to make this happen, that I didn't know how these scenes would turn out. So there was always this doubt, this fear, this anxiety in me when filming that all the scenes aside from the intros could be terrible. But how did I keep myself calm? I kept my ego, my artistic ego and greed in check by putting myself in the brain of myself months earlier, when literally my only goal was to make a small little YouTube video impersonating different people. I kept being in awe of where I was. I was in this villa with a dozen actors, all these people on board. I just try to humble myself that way and tell myself, literally, the worst case scenario is if all these scenes go wrong, we don't have a story, and I've just fulfilled my original goal doing these character intros. And once we had filmed all the character intros, I knew I had what I wanted from the beginning, what I had set out for. So everything else for me was then a challenge, but like a good challenge, like exciting. Yeah, let's go after this and make this bigger than I even thought it could be. Now, I know that not every set is like this, right? When you're getting paid tons of money and people have tons of money invested, it's very important that you shoot everything. But that speaks to the value as a young filmmaker when people aren't investing millions of dollars and you're just funding something with a few $1,000s yourself. You have the freedom to make these mistakes and not get gray hairs in your 20s, unless you get it naturally, but not through stress, because this is all about learning and preparing for your next projects. So the lesson there is always have perspective of where you came from, know what you would be satisfied with at the very least, and treat every day, every hour, every moment like the script is rewriting itself. Like when you get into post-production, you're gonna find yourself with a different script than you had written from the beginning, and you're gonna have to edit things differently than your expectations. If you're just hanging on to your expectations but you don't have the footage, you're gonna be clumping together stuff that doesn't work. And it's the same thing on set. Instead of saying, oh no, this doesn't work, and stressing yourself out, focus on what does work and how can we stretch that. And I'm happy to say that in the past, what's kept me back from making films has been fear that I'm going to do everything wrong, or that it's not going to be perfect, because things are obviously always more perfect in our minds. But I'm happy to say that my overwhelming takeaway from this was not things I did wrong, but how much I'm capable of doing in the future. How really possible it is to make things with a quick turnaround with very little money if you have the right script and the right mentality. So this was a great experience for me. I did not intend for this to be 47 minutes, to be a feature film, but you know, I guess the page doesn't lie. The script was like 40 something pages, so a page a minute. It came out that way. And I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I forced myself to dive into it. Remember that while it is important to give yourself time to develop ideas, don't give yourself too much time, because then you'll never get it done. It's like, I think Steve Jobs or someone had this quote that I'll leave you all off on, which is, give yourself 6 months to finish something. And if you didn't get it done in 6 months, you never really wanted it enough. So it was very important for me to get this done at all costs, because it's a really good habit in life. And how did I do it? Let me just share one more thought before I sign off. How did I do it? When I say positivity, not through being happy, right? You can't rely on emotions. It's through being stoic, through actually becoming a robot, a determined robot. Sorry, I'm getting a call. You set a goal for yourself through that passion, through that positivity, through that love, and And then after a certain point, that's going to taper off and you can't rely on your emotions anymore, because your emotions are at a certain point going to tell you to quit. After a certain point, you just have to live by the scripture of your goals that you set at the beginning and just move forward no matter what. Just don't quit. Just move forward at all costs and do everything to get it done. That's what I did. I'm going to keep trying to do that. I hope you all do that as well. Peace.